Any morning we're a little bit late. Amy goes and picks up the Starbucks, and then I get it on the way back from dropping the kids off from school. I went cold today because it's going to be a beauty of a day. It's been such a weird winter and a little more stressful than used to. I now look forward to the nice days and soak up every ounce of sunshine I can. Now, I'm not going to the meadows today. We didn't get anything in. Tim's horse was in, and I told him, I said, I'm happy to go drive the horse for you if you want. She's pretty push bud. Deja Jade, I'd be surprised if she didn't win easily in the first race. But I didn't want to spend, this time of year, I want to spend as much time in the barn at Northfield or in Ontario if I can. Just making sure that we're getting the babies polished up and the sophomores ready. Over the next 2 weeks, almost all of our sophomores will be qualifying or getting ready to qualify Pickpocket, Memory, and Imagination Arson. They'll be a little bit after because we just want them ready for the first part of May. So you'll see them start qualifying mid-April. So about a month from now. Everybody else will be ready to rock in the next 2 weeks. And I knew I would. I said this in a video. I knew I would get a ton of emails yesterday or texts. People either mildly concerned or worried about how their horses were, because it's hard to digest what you just saw. When you see Pickpocket make a break, get a little rough in the turns and make a break, how does your brain take that in, right? How does it react to that? And you have to understand the process, as I called it yesterday for you guys, the process it takes to get a horse to where you saw him and hopefully past next year, and a lot goes into that. And sure, some breaks go into it too. And the thing that was the most telling yesterday was how some of them operated on a firmer track, which is fine. It just means we have a point to work on, which we always knew anyway. When it came to, there's Amy. When it came to Pickpocket, Memory, and Imagination, Arson was really good. I was really happy with him, and some of the horses were really impressive. But a lot of people politely asking, what went on with Mel Gibson was one. What went on with Pickpocket? Why did he make that break? Geez, he looked a little rough before that. Well, he didn't have hobbles on, right? He hadn't had any fast training yet. What we do when you get a horse in from the field, you spend about a month just jogging them, and then you start training them, and those training sessions are ours are 1.5 miles, and they'll start from 2:30 and make their way all the way down to 2:14, 2:15. So they're not super strenuous for a horse like Pickpocket that is taking a mark at 53 as a 2-year-old and done well, or Arson or Memory or Mel or any of those horses. It's not that strenuous, right? But now you get to a part of spring training where it is a little more strenuous, where there is a bit more expected of you. And those first hurdles you go through, you still gotta get back into the rhythm, right? It's like coming back to work after a vacation. You're not nearly as efficient as you were. I guess it depends the job you're in, but not nearly as efficient as you were maybe a week before you went away, right? Not firing on all cylinders, and there's nothing wrong with that. We don't need Pickpocket and those horses to be firing on all cylinders today. We need them to throughout the summer and right into the fall, especially on Hambo Day, hopefully, especially on Breeders' Crown Night. Those nights and days are quite a ways ahead. So you guys, as I said yesterday, it's like watching a play rehearsal. It's not like watching the play. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's part of the learning for you too, to understand what goes into training these horses. So everybody was polite, and I love the exchanges. I love the dialogue. Please feel free to send me all the emails or text message you want. I had a ton of them yesterday. Question from a young lady I believe a young lady in the Maritimes asking about Woodmere Betcha. Why we wear flip-flops on a lot of the horses. What does that mean? What does that shoe do? When will she be ready to race, and who will get her? Where will she go? What stakes will she race in? These are all very remedial questions that people that get involved want to know. Flip-flops, as many of you know, have been with us. This is a shoe that's just a little more gentle on the horses. We started off, the last 2 years, all our babies with flip-flops on. We just did. If some of them couldn't go with them on, you see the Pacer Country Dancing made a couple of breaks. She wasn't as comfortable with them on. because with those exposed corners, sometimes if the horses are narrow behind, they can crossfire and they'll catch that flap real easy. So you can hide it or you can just take it off. Especially since we haven't had that many hard tracks this year, it's easy to start taking them off now. So it's not that Woodmere Betcha needs a flip-flop, it's that's what we put on all of them. In regards to, I think a second part to that question was, when do you know when they need them or they don't? Well, I just answered the first part. We put them on all the babies when we start breaking them. But in regards to the race horses, a lot of the stuff, I think your name was Krista, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize if I'm wrong. A lot of that stuff, Krista, is trial and error, right? If we get a horse in that looks like their feet bother them, we will look to flip-flops many times to help, because it does alleviate some of the pressure on their feet, and it has worked well in the past. So that's how we get to that point. Now, Woodmere Betcha will train down. She'll qualify in Ontario once or twice. She may even race once, depending on the stake schedule in the Maritimes. But I suspect she will qualify. And then... Are you in the Lower Barns? Lower Barns, and right here, yeah. We're by Dr. Latessa's clinic.
So I don't know if it'll affect you, but there may not have water.
Oh, that will affect us if we don't have water.
Yeah, well, they said Lower Barns, so I don't know where.
I think that usually means down by the test barn, but it could be ours. What till when?
They didn't give me a time.
Must be a water main broke or something.
Yeah, they said a water it broke. But
Well, I can assure you when I get to the barn, I'll know if the water's on.
Okay, well, I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it. I don't think it's our barn, though. So that is the plan with Woodmere Betcha. She'll be going to Jamie Smith in Charlottetown. Jamie is a long-time friend, and it was the trainer of Cintra when I won the Gold Cup in Saucer. So that's the plan with Betcha. In regards to Mel Gibbs, one of those horses, guys, just relax. I know it's upsetting. I know you look and you see your horse make a break. You're like, oh, my God. Just relax. It's all part of, as I said, of the process. Nothing, and trust me when I tell you, I will tell you guys if I'm concerned, if something is bothering me. Nothing that took place yesterday even remotely concerns me. Now take away from that what you will. I can only tell you how you look at it. You will see what I'm talking about come May. When push comes to shove and we get the horses ready to race and they're in to qualify, you're going to see your horses show up. Don't worry. So, that was that. I had a number of emails also last night talking about horses that were for sale. We always get that. Again, I think everybody's getting a little more in tune to this. Great feedback from some of the clients. And David had sent me a message yesterday, and he said, Anthony, very well-written, long email. Virtually, and I'm trying to take myself away from it, not understanding why a horse like Wallop or a horse like somebody had called looking to buy Wallop yesterday. When you have Wallop, he fits the non-winners at 8, condition claimer. He's got 7 wins. When he gets out of that class, now he's up into Kemp's class. Aside from Kemp, it's a tough bunch, right? Can he do in there? I don't know. And here's the problem I have. If he can't do in there, kind of snarled, right? We tried to put him in the numbers at 2,000, but there's a cap because he made a lot of money last year. So he couldn't get in there. Numbers of 4,000 was iffy also. Now you're getting up into condition races that are going to be really tough for him. We could race Wallop, right? And in the past, we would race Wallop. Now, this is important because maybe I haven't articulated myself well enough in this regard. It isn't that we can't race Wallop. What I'm trying to do is be proactive and look ahead and say, okay, Wallop's getting to a saturation point in our area, right? Maybe there's classes in Ocean Downs or Dover or Harrington or Saratoga or Plain Ridge when it opens up because he's a mass bred. Maybe there are classes there. But I'm looking at right now and in the foreseeable future, what do we have on the docket, so to speak? What I've tried to do is buy horses that have 1, 2, 3 wins. Win their way up to the numbers of 7. Then when they get to that hurdle, say, okay, can they do up to that numbers of 10, which thankfully now is numbers of 12. Can they do in there? If they can, fine. We don't have to worry about it until we win a few more. And then after that, we'll have to have this discussion again. And it's not that Wallop can't race. In the past, we've raced horses, no problem. Knowing we're 9, 10 to 1, go on the track. And if the horse does it, does well, great. And if it doesn't, next week. We can do that. I've opted to pivot and move down a different path. And this is where the stable has changed. And this is where we've lost some clients. that have said, Anthony, I have no interest in buying Wallop and then getting rid of him after he gets to his 10th win or 9th win because you think things might get a little difficult down the road. It's not that I think they will. They will get difficult down the road. And if I can continue to race horses at 8-5, 9-5, 2-1, 3-1, great. Once we start racing our barn happily and knowingly at 6-1, 8-1, 10-1, 15-1, what you're going to see is our output snarl, our output diminish. And by that, I mean how many times we get to the winner's circle, how many times the horses race good. And this sounds like the business side of the barn, but truthfully, the foundation of the barn is still having fun, owning horses. It doesn't get as fun. What I found in my life in horse racing is it's not always as fun when you don't win. When you know you're going to get beat, you go to the track, you watch your horse race, and lo and behold, you get beat soundly. After a while, the outings just turn into that, outings. They don't turn into this fun experience because you don't have to win. But knowing you can't when you get to the track, this isn't the Kentucky Derby. You're not racing out of the 13 hole at 55-1, and no matter the odds, you have a chance in the Kentucky Derby. It's a great story. But when you go to Mohawk at 30-1, your driver is going to drive your horse at 30-1. He's probably not going to have a chance to win unless things go awry on the front end, or the front end is super hot and you get to pick up the pieces. Those can happen, but not very often. I'm just trying to keep us in a position where we're always in the hunt. Always in the hunt. And to do that, we have to turn over those foot soldier types. It's not the end of the world to go to the Pennsylvania Sire Stakes or the Ontario Sire Stakes or the Kentucky Sire Stakes. You know where I'm going with this. With a horse that's 10 or 12-1. You are in the Sire Stakes. Your horse is a good horse and you got a shot. And if he doesn't, then we just put the horse in the grassroots, the Stallion Series, the Buckeye, the Incentive B or C. But it's all about managing the horses properly. And if we can't do that, it's just, think of it as this way. You have one stable that can just buy horses and race them no matter what. You have another stable that does it in a more surgical manner, where we look and say, what horses, what classes can we exploit with our horses? How can we do good in those classes with our horses? And we're constantly challenging ourselves and constantly looking at our horses and saying, okay, where can we move this horse around to do well? And if we can't answer that question, then there's a good chance that maybe that horse is going to be sold. And that's the position I am. I get it. The way we used to have things, the model we started with, the path we were on, we did pivot from. And it has cost us clients, people that I had considered friends. No disrespect to them. I completely understand their position. But I have to do what's right for the stable. When I look at the two models beside one another, it's pretty obvious that the one we're on is the way to go. And that isn't just about win, 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 win. It's about being able to win, 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 win. You know you can't sometimes here. Why not sidestep those landmines? Be a little more proactive, a little more aggressive with our purchases and our sales. So that we know, hey, in a couple of weeks, Wallop's going to have a tough time doing business at the Meadows. There's not a ton of stuff here at Northfield. By a ton, I mean none, for the most part. And down in Southern Ohio, if you can get in, remember, there's PA owned and bred first. There's a preference list. And Wallop may not get in Southern Ohio. And by the way, if he does get in, you're looking at maybe possibly double-digit odds. And rightfully so, because it's a tough bunch. So does it not make more sense to move a Wallop and look for a newer Wallop, the one that we bought before with 2 wins, and make his way up again, and rinse and repeat? That foot soldier model, that middle of the road, our babies, we're going to continue to train them down and give them the opportunity to be the best they can. That has never changed and will never change. The top end, buy horses that can race consistently at the top end at tracks around North America. That has not changed. The only reason we sold White Tiger, the only reason I'm floating the idea of selling Locatelli, is because we have Looks Like Money and Yo Mister in Ontario. And if we move one of them out, it's not going to be Looks Like Money. We'll move Yo Mister to Kentucky or Minnesota or somewhere like that. And before you ask the next question to what I just said, you already know the answer for Locatelli and White Tiger for the most part. But we'll look to get other Locatellis and White Tigers. The one thing is, I know everybody looks at it and says, oh, so hard to replace Locatelli. You can never replace him. Well, 100% you can replace him with the right horse. Those horses just aren't for sale yet. They are in the spring. My job for 2025 will be recognizing that in January, February, March, horses are not for sale. You cannot acquire because there's not a lot of them out there to acquire. That's number one. 1 quarter of the year. Quarter number 1 of every year, January, February, March. You can sell, you can't acquire. So how can we acquire horses later in the year, specifically earmarked for January, February, March of the following year, and do it with enough horses so that we know our stable has changed? This, I don't even know what to call them. We'll have a name for them. I'll come up with a catchy name. But the horses that we acquire to specifically race January, February, March. Those might be horses. Yes?
We need your help with grain glitter.
I will be there momentarily. I'm finishing up.
Be on the track right now.
Whoa, it's still... Hey. Here's my wife. She is wanting me to stop my video and get on the track.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about very important things.
What?
I can't tell you. It's a secret. You're going to have to watch the video.
You made me watch your other 2 videos yesterday.
You opted to. I did not tie you down.
There is nothing that you should need to talk about since yesterday to right now.
If I get kidnapped and you were in charge of the stable, you are going to have to do these videos.
Oh, they're not getting as many as you gave.
Well, you're going to have to. You know, people that are upset because if I don't explain myself in these videos, if I don't explain myself in these videos, then you're going to be answering emails. Which would you rather do? Do a proactive video so people understand who we are, or would you rather answer a million emails? Which would you like?
I'm just wondering what topics you're discussing.
You're going to have to watch the video. I'll be in a minute. So, listen, you guys get what I'm saying, right? We're trying to acquire good horses and place them in places they can do very well. We're trying to buy our babies and build our stable up very strong from the bottom through the top, and that entire middle of the order, that foot soldier type horses, I like to call them, those horses will be moved in and out as we need help strengthening the middle. Now, if we continue to keep those horses until they don't fit classes, then we're only weakening the middle of our barn. So I hope you understand that. Most people do, but I always get an email, very polite, long email. Perfect example, David, why do we need to sell Wallop? I hope you understand now. It has nothing to do with Wallop. He may be able to do in Southern Ohio. He may be able to do in Dover or Saratoga or Plainridge. I don't know. There's no certainties. And what we're trying to fill the middle of our barn with are as many certainties as we can. Wallop and the non-winners of 3, that's a certainty, right? Unbeatable Kemp, non-winners of 5, that's a certainty. But when they get up to 7, 8, 10, 12 wins, now you're looking at open company, bye-bye certainties. So we're trying to fill the middle of our barn with as many 8-5, 9-5, 3-1 types as we can. And yes, that goes against somewhat the original model of the stable.ca, right? And it certainly does not chip away at all of own a little, love it a lot. It's a pretty broad statement. It's a pretty broad catch slogan made that very way. So you're still owning a little and loving it a lot. You just don't loving more horses. And I get why some people, jokingly aside, I get why some people get upset when we have to move horses that they've grown attached to. But this is why we're trying to do it. Strengthen the top, strengthen the bottom, and the middle of our stable should be full of horses that have very good opportunities to race consistently and very competitively in the fields that we assemble for them. So that is the best way I can explain the stable moving forward. And if I haven't done it in a way that articulates it well enough for you, or you don't understand, I know the classifications are a little difficult to understand, and that will come later, right? It's like learning math. Eventually you got to get to algebra, and eventually you'll understand that too. There's a reason why they structure the classes the way they do, and it has no bearing on the stable. Nobody wants to structure classes so that one barn comes in and wins all the time. Our job is to buy horses that can come in and win every time. That's what I want to do with our foot soldiers. So that's where we're at. And I hope you understand why the horses that we offer up for sale are up for sale. I know And that beautiful. Also, I had clients that had said, "What about this horse being up for sale? What about that one?" Good points. There are some horses that can be moved. I just don't want to, like a horse like International Spy. I could move him, but that start with Chris Lems was impressive. And then he made the break. I didn't like the way he looked, but then I remember James saying he's schooled good. I don't want to give a horse away that's going to do good just because he had a couple of bad races. And that is what people have to understand. Us deciding to move the horses, I don't take that lightly. It isn't, just get rid of that. Get rid of that one. I'm not doing that. I'm literally looking at the horse, going over the condition sheet everywhere in North America and saying, can this horse win somewhere now? Can this horse fit in somewhere better than here? If the answer is no, then the horse is likely going to be sold. So, anyway, sorry about the little bit of a ramble, but every time I just want to nip this in the bud all the time. And if you're out there and you're like, I still don't quite get it, please feel free, drop me a line, send me a text message. I'm happy to discuss it with you in a manner that makes more sense if I didn't hit the mark this morning. But with that, it is going to be a beautiful day. We're getting all the babies trained. Sophomores went yesterday. Don't worry. Next time you see them, they'll look a lot better. Take care.